Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Course Studio. Welcome to the show. So the moment that you've been waiting for all of spoiler season. That's right. We have, well, spoiler and leak season. It was a long season, but now we have the Golden Pig Awards. Finally, every single one of the commanders has been revealed from the main set and the precons for Modern Horizons 3. There are 32 commanders in total. Only 10 make the list for this episode, and only one is going to be crowned the Golden Pig, my favorite commander from this set. If you're looking for the Power Tiers episode, make sure you check that one out. This is not necessarily the most powerful commanders. In fact, the most powerful commander is definitely not on this list. Definitely not one of my favorites. But let's talk about the ones that I do like right now. So, starting things off at number 10, we've got Ashling Flame Dancer. I do like that they brought Ashling back in a new way. A 4/4 Elemental Shaman for 4 mana in red. You don't lose unspent red mana as Steps in Phase Zen and Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant sorcery spell, discard a card, then draw a card. If it's second time, then you get to deal 2 damage to each opponent. Each creature they control the third time, add red, 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 red. So, this commander is a mana bank for red mana, which is lovely. You've got a lot of ways to make a lot of red mana, including, well, obviously, tapping your mountains. Good job. Ramping. Good job. And also ritual effects too. Great job. And I guess treasures too or whatnot. But still, a lot of ways to make red mana. Store that up and cast some massive spells. You can definitely do that. But you can actually take advantage of, again, that, I was going to say looting. Rummaging effect. There we go. Drawing after you discard. And also you can take advantage of dishing out that damage too. Yeah, I probably should include a lifelink card on this. My bad. Regardless, some cards that I did include to talk about really quick. Containment Construct. Whenever you discard a card, you can exile a card from your graveyard. If you do, you may play it this turn. You have ways to take advantage of actually discarding that card and kind of turning that card disadvantage. Well, it's not really disadvantage. It's more card selection in a way. Turning that card selection into card advantage by being able to utilize that card that you just discarded. Or punish your opponents further. Brawlin Skyshark Rider. Whenever you discard a card, you get a counter on Brawlin, and also 1 damage each opponent, which is quite nice. You also can, well, replace those cards. You can ensure that you get a lot of new cards with Magus the Wheel. Sacrifice it. Everyone discards their hand, draws 7 cards. Keep in mind, you also have those discard benefits potentially in play as well. But yeah, resetting your hand can be great to get more fuel to your fire so you can have more and more spells to sling. Speaking of slinging spells, Gutter Snipe loves when you do that too. Keep casting those spells. Dish out even more damage. 2 damage per instant sorcery that you cast to each opponent. Stormkill Artist, another way to benefit from spell slinging. You're going to be able to get a lot of treasures off of this. Whenever you cast or copy an sorcery spell, create a treasure token. So store those up. Store up all that mana and utilize it in some pretty big things. You can actually have a pretty big turn as well with a card like Insult. Well, and Injury, but mostly Insult. Damage can be prevented this turn. If a source you control deal damage this turn, it deals double that damage instead. So again, your commander is now going to dish out double the damage. Obviously, the more expensive damage triplers are great too. But yes, you can actually turn your commander into a board wipe in a way. And also, more and more damage is going to be better. And also, it plays really well into some giant X spells. With that mana that you're saving up, Giant Landing Inferno, X damage each of the 3X targets. And hey, you've got 3 opponents. So, dish the damage to their faces. So yeah, so much mana, so much damage, so much fun. I like what they did with Ashling Flame Dancer. You are 10th place. Moving on, though, to 9th place with Pearl Ear Imperial Advisor, a 3/4 Fox Advisor for 3 mana in white. Lifelink. Enchantment spells you cast have affinity for auras, and whenever you cast an aura spell that targets a modified permanent you control, draw a card. There's a soft spot in my heart for mono white aura commanders. It's incredibly specific, but yeah, that. It was one of my very first decks I ever built in Commander, and it's come a long way with this one compared to one we'll talk about here in a little bit, but still. Being able to cast aura spells and draw a ton of cards. Again, you just need 1 aura spell on something, or a counter, or an equipment, and then you get to draw a lot of cards when you keep targeting that exact same permanent. Also, hey, your enchantments having affinity for auras is huge. The more auras you have on the battlefield, the cheaper all your spells that are enchantments are going to be to cast. You do some pretty crazy things. First up, I was referencing Shram, one of my very first commanders. I love you, Shram! One of my very first episodes, too. 2/2 Dwarf Advisor for 2 mana in white. Whenever you cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle spell, draw a card. You're going to be drawing a lot of cards throughout the game with all the auras you're going to be casting. Mesa Enchantress, whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you also draw a card. You get these in play, you're drawing even more cards. Who says mono white can't draw? I do sometimes, but yeah, with the right setup, you can definitely draw a lot of cards. You can even draw with this, Unquestioned Authority. Enchant creature enters the battlefield, draw a card. Enchant creature's protection from creatures. Being able to cast more expensive auras, which, I mean, 3 mana is not a ton, but it's not all that cheap for what this does, down at just 1 mana with that cost reduction is huge. Yeah, 1 mana to protect your creature from creatures, and also draw a card, cantrip, lovely. Moving on, draw more cards with Sage's Revere. I don't know how to say that. Enchant creature aura for 4 mana, enters the battlefield, draw a card for each aura you control, it's attached to a creature. That's going to be an absurd amount. On top of that, +1 for each aura you control, it's attached to a creature. A massive pump effect as well. So, yeah, this commander does have the potential to, I mean, if you want to go for it, Voltron KO someone. Mantle the Ancients, another great way to do that. Enchant creature control, enters the battlefield, return any number of target aura and/or equipment cards that could be attached to enchant creature from your graveyard to the battlefield, attached to the enchant creature. That is a way to get a lot of things back out. All onto that. All the ETBs you might have too. All the fun times. And also +1 for each aura equipment attached to it. So again, yet another way to pump it to infinity. Not infinity, but a lot. Next up, Axis Mortality. One of my favorite enchantments ever. At the beginning of your upkeep, you have 2 target players exchange life totals. Again, this costs 6 mana, which is a good amount. I mean, that's a good investment right there. But actually, again, because it's all of your enchantments that get that cost reduction, this can cost as little as 2 mana for this deck, which is amazing. Get into play, have fun swapping life totals. Yeah, I mean, it's just a really fun time when you're like, oh, I'm only at 10. Oh, you're at like 60. You're doing a great job over there. And the player's like, no, 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 no. And you're like, yeah, please, thank you. Or you can swap your opponent's life totals too. It's fun. Martyr's Bond, also a fun card for you at 2 mana potentially. Whenever it or another non-land party controls from the grave from the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a permanent that shows a card type with it. Yeah, this is brutal. This is effective. This is crazy good. Hey, if you deal with my creature and you deal with that creature that has like all those enchantments on it, everyone's got to sacrifice a creature +5 enchantments. Good luck keeping anything in play. Yeah, Pearl Ear Imperial Advisor again takes auras in a, well, not different direction, but an exciting direction, allowing you to reduce cost and draw a ton of cards. Pearl Ear, congratulations on your 9th place finish. And speaking of taking things in a different direction, Haragas, Erupting Hellkite. I said Hellkite. It's Nullkite. Whatever. 9 mana, 6/6 Eldrazi Dragon with a merge for 6 red. 8th place finish, if I should say that. Whenever you cast this spell, you may exile your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards. Flying. Each creature spell you cast has a merge. The merge cost equal to its mana cost. A merge commander. I don't think we've ever had one before. I mean, we've got ones that I'm sure you could build like an emerge deck around, but this one is strictly a merge. It's like, hey, you know what? I emerge, you emerge, everybody emerges. Lots of fun things can be had with that. Again, sacrificing creatures to help pay for the mana cost of that emerge, going from creature to creature to creature to creature, getting a lot of different value. And yeah, when you get this in play, you can be like, I don't like my hand, or I have no hand. Let's draw 3 cards. Sure, why not? Obviously, you can take advantage of creatures that can get out a little bit cheaper than what they should be able to get out at. Mere Enforcer. It's a 4/4 that does nothing for 7 mana. But wait, it has affinity for artifacts, which means that you can cast this for as low as the low price of free. You can cast this for free if you have enough artifacts in play, which you might if you're building around these kinds of things. So get this out for free, and then you can reduce the cost of, again, say your commander to just 2 red mana. Next up, Bedlam Reveler. You can actually reduce it all the way with this one, probably the card that actually this commander was built around. A 3/4 that costs 8 mana. But costs 1 cast for each instant source card in your graveyard. It's got prowess. When it enters the battlefield, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. Yeah, you can actually get this out again for just 2 mana. When you do, again, hey, get rid of that hand. Who needs it? Draw some cards. Great. And then I can sacrifice this to get my commander out or something else as well. Next up, Stone Ancient Idol. I said that backwards. Ancient Stone Idol. Don't know why I did that. 12/12 Golem with flash that costs 10 mana. Costs 1 less cast for each attacking creature. Trample. When it dies, you replace with a 6/12 with also trample. This one, your opponents can even help you out. You're like, hey, thanks. Yeah, swing out. Do whatever you need to do. Cast this for cheap. Flash into play. Block something big. And then when you need to, just ditch it, sacrifice it for something else, and, juicy amounts of mana to be had with that for cost reduction. Metalwork Colossus, again, your artifacts can help out, but a different way. 10/10 Construct for 11 mana, but I've cast this so many times for nothing, because it costs X less to cast for a total mana value of non-creature artifacts you control, which of course includes all your mana rocks. So utilize those mana rocks to get this out for free. And yeah, having a 10/10 for free is lovely, and also one that you can get back again and again and again. Sacrifice 2 artifacts, bring it back from your graveyard to your hand. So this can be like a mana source for you in a really weird way, like sacrifice some treasures or clues, whatever. Bring it back, play it for free. All of a sudden, sacrifice it, play something else. Some really fun, weird loops can happen, which are even more fun when you have like Warstorm Surge in play. Whenever a creature in its battlefield under control deals damage equal to its power to any target, hey, I just had a 10/10 come into play. Boom, boom, boom. Item activator play 6 damage, 7 damage, whatever it is. Have things hit hard. Have a good time. And hit on the way out too. Stalking Vengeance. 5/5 Avatar for 7 mana, but can be a lot cheaper. Go with the Merge. Hasty. Whenever the creature you control dies, deals damage equal to its power to target player or planeswalker. Emerge, emerge, emerge. Die, die, die. Damage, damage, damage. Surge as well. Lots of fun to be had. Flamekin Herald. Take advantage of you playing your commander again, again, again. Commander spells you cast have Cascade. Again, you're going to be playing your commander for free a lot of the time, or at least a very reduced cost. Have fun getting it back into play. Have fun cascading a ton, getting a lot of value out of it. There are so many fun things to be had with Heragast. You are the 8th place commander. Next up at number 7, apparently I've got a thing for cost reduction. Imskir Iron Eater, a 5/5 demon for 8 mana and Rakdos, but you're never going to pay that. Affinity for artifacts. Unfortunately for Heragast, this can't fit in that deck, but that can fit in this deck, but you probably won't. Anyways, as it enters the battlefield, you draw X cards, you lose X life, for X is half the number of artifacts you control rounded down. Pay 4 mana in total, sacrifice an artifact, deals damage equal to sacrifice artifact's mana value to any target. This is a commander that you can use and abuse quite easily. You can get it back into play again and again and again. Flood the board with a ton of artifacts, including artifact tokens. Reduce that cost down to nearly nothing again, just 2 mana essentially. And yeah, that does affect commander tax as well. So yeah, you're pretty much just going to keep cast this for 2 mana. You can sacrifice it. You can get that ETB again and again and again. Of course, there's other ways to get the ETB too. But yeah, that's a powerful one. 1 life for 1 card is a deal I'll make any day of the week. Absolutely. Draw through your deck. And then chuck artifacts at players and maybe gain some life while doing so. So we got big score. Discard 1 card. Draw 2, make 2 treasure tokens. This is, again, temporary ramp technically with those treasure tokens, but also permanent ramp in a way when it comes to your commander for that affinity. So yeah, flood the board with tokens, do some great things. Speaking of flooding the board, Baras's Bounty, my goodness. If you're at 7 lands and you cast this, hey, here's 7 treasures. Congratulations, your commander is nearly free to play. Absolutely lovely. Plenty of ways to make treasures these days. Also, make gold. Better than treasures, technically. Or a curse, enchant player for a single red mana. Enchant player is attacked, create a gold token. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. You put this on a player, and then you're like, sorry. Everyone's going to be coming at you because they want the mana. So yeah, you get mana whenever players attack that player and whenever you attack that player too. So have fun with all those gold pieces. Jaxus the Troublemaker, a way to use and abuse that ETB on your commander. Pay a red, tap, discard a card, create tokens, copy on a target creature, gains haste. When it dies, you get to draw a card, and you would have to sacrifice it, but with this, you're like, oh, okay, my commander is legendary. I sacrifice it. So you basically just looted, which is great, but also you just got the ETB from your commander. So there you go. You get to use and abuse that a lot. Draw a ton of cards, lose a ton of life. What's not to love about that? Feign Death. You can also take advantage of your commander dying. Instead of having to recast your commander, which granted is not that big of a deal most of the time, but if you're strapped on artifacts, it's fine. You can actually just say, hey, you know what? Hey, my commander's about to die. Come right back. Give me that ETB again. And of course, you can use and abuse other ETBs with that too. Lots of Feign Death effects out there. Basilisk Car. I cannot believe this is budget friendly. Less than $1. Quick creatures, Death Touch, and Lifelink. Lovely, because hey, I get to chuck artifacts at anything. Great. So Death Touch means that no matter what size artifact I am chucking, as long as it's got mana value of 1 at least, I guess, you get to actually deal 1 damage to something at least or more, and then it goes away because of Death Touch. And also when you're chucking big artifacts, you gain life as well. So yeah, you are gaining life. You are taking things out. You can actually, gain some of that life back from losing it all, when you're drawing all those cards. So yeah, Imskir Iron Eater, you're a very interesting and unique commander. Congratulations on your 7th place finish. Next up at 6th place, Shill Gengar, evolving from Shill Haunter, Sir of Famine. I just said Sir. Sire, I can't talk. I was trying too hard on that joke, and I'm sure it didn't hit very well, did it? No? Okay. Anyways, Pokemon. 6/6 Elder Dragon with flying that costs 5 mana. Sacrifice the creature, create a blood token. If you sacrifice an angel this way, create a number of blood tokens equal to its toughness instead. Pay 3 Orzhov mana. Sacrifice 6 blood tokens. Bring all of your creatures back from the graveyard to the battlefield. Finality counter on them, though, but they're also vampires. And yeah, that can be relevant. I will show you a way that can be relevant. This is a commander that can be built in a couple different directions. You could go Angel Tribal if you really want to and just be like, I've got a bunch of angels in play. I make so many blood tokens. I bring them all back. Crazy things happen. You can definitely do that. You can also be a bit more degenerate, maybe like me, and be like, let's fill the graveyard with some crazy things and then take everyone out with 1 activation. Yay! So let's talk about some things. First up, Weaponcraft Enthusiast. Yeah, you can go into angels if you really want to, but again, you could just go really wide with, like, tokens and stuff. Weaponcraft Enthusiast, a 0/1, which is terrible usually for 3 mana, but it's got Fabricate 2, which means you can make 2 servos with it. Always pick the servos. Never pick the +1 counters in this situation. So you've got 3 creatures for 3 mana that equals 3 blood tokens. Lovely. Take advantage of that. Get a lot of creatures into play, sacrifice them, get up to your 6 blood tokens, and utilize that properly. Of course, you can utilize some angels, and some really do help you out, like the Ace of Shroud of Dusk, a 5/5 angel that says, hey, flying lifelink, whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 2 life. Nice. It's going to hurt everyone, which is lovely. It hurts you too, but that's okay. We're going to be taking everyone down, and by taking everyone down quicker, we can really take them out with our finale. And it does say rather than pay 2 for each time you've cast your commands with the commander in this game, you pay 2 that many times. So you can pay life instead of actually paying the command tax, which is nice. Angel of Runes, also another card you might just actually have in the deck. It's 5/7 flyer, angel that costs 7 mana. ETBs, get rid of 2 artifacts and enchantments, exile them. You can also play and cycle it away, so it's a card you can justify just keeping in the deck anyways. And when you get into play, you're like, oh, yeah, I'd like 7 blood tokens, please. Thank you. Next up, Corpse Knight. Of course, you can drain your opponents and get them into a situation that they don't like because, hey, you're going wide, you're getting things into play, but also you're going to be reanimating a lot of things that are going to be coming into play. Whenever the creature enters battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life. What about the other end of things, though? LSO Core. Creature comes into play under your control, you gain 1 life. Yay! Let's gain some life. That's great. It makes up for the Asa. But also on top of that, whenever creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. So yeah, on the way in, on the way out, your opponents are getting taken out. Bastion of Remembrance. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you get a 1/1. Whenever creature control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. Again, with your big, massive play, you're like, okay, got all these creatures in play. I sacrifice them all. I drain you all a ton. And then all of a sudden, I bring them all back, and big things are going to happen from there, like Gary. That's right, Gary. And it enters the battlefield. Each opponent loses X life for extra devotion to black. You gain life, your life lost this way. This can be a one-shot KO on all your opponents. Again, if you got all these creatures in your graveyard, so many black pips, you bring them all right back for just 3 mana and sacrificing 6 blood tokens, and your opponents are really, really in trouble. Especially if you also have Malakir Blood Witch. Here you go. Vampires are relevant, I told you. 4/4, flying protection from white, enters the battlefield. Each opponent loses life, equal to the number of vampires you control. You gain life, your life lost this way. All your creatures are also vampires. So also they're going to see this and say, oh, cool, we're vampires. Drain you with Gary as well. Violent Tumor. Of course, you do have ways to actually tutor things into your graveyard. Get those creatures in your graveyard that you need to get out and reanimate so you can skip a lot of things. I mean, mill yourself too. Sacrifice creatures, whatever you need to do. A lot of exciting things can be done with Shill Gengar. Again, evolves from Shill Ghastly to Shill Haunter. Pokemon jokes. Here we go. 6th place. All right, top 5. Things are getting serious. Hence the hat on backwards and the sweatshirt off. You get it? No. Okay, anyways. Kudo King Among Bears, a 2/2 bear for 2 mana. That's what a bear is. Thank you, Wizards. But now everything else is a bear because other creatures have base power and toughness. 2/2 and are bears-ish other types. Everything is a bear. Commander. Absolutely amazing. Now, you might think this unassuming commander is just all friendly, like, hey, my creatures are bears. Yay, yay. No, your opponent's creatures are also 2/2 bears as well. So while you are going to be preparing for that when you build your deck, your opponents are probably not going to be, which means that you can take advantage of that. And if you're a very, very, very mean player and have the budget for it, play Elish Norn and take out all your opponent's creatures, and they can't really play creatures unless they have anthems. Yeah. You can definitely do that. But I am not going to be building it that way, though I will tell you can play a card that is budget-friendly. that is slightly nicer. Slightly nicer. So, yeah, 5th place. So here we go. Krovax Ascendant Hero, a 4/4 Human Lord. Is Lord still? Yeah, Lord's a creature type, isn't it? Or is it Noble now? I don't know. For 6 mana, other white creatures get ++1. Non-white creatures get -1/-1. Pay 2 life. Bounce it back to your hand. Here's the thing. Yes, this can affect you. That's fine. That's fine, okay? It also pumps your white creatures, which also can pump your opponent's white creatures too if they have them. I'd say most likely you're going to have more than your opponents do because you're building a bunch of tokens and getting a lot of those in play. And probably most of your token generation is going to be white creatures. They can be green creatures or colorless creatures too, but most will be white most likely. And also with that, your opponent's creatures that aren't white are now 1/1s. Haha. So they were 2/2 bears. I mean, at first it was probably like, I've got a 10/10 dragon. And you're like, now it's a 2/2 bear dragon. They're like, oh no. And now you're like, now it's a 1/1 bear dragon. No. Yeah, this isn't quite Elish Nornmean, but you don't have to include it if you don't want to, but it's kind of a weird card. Next up, what you can do, though, is ensure that the scales are tipped in your favor still with Anthems. Intangible Virtue. Creature tokens you control get +1 at Vigilance. This is an amazing one. Just say, hey, you know what? You got all bears over there, all little 2/2s, right? I got bears too. Oh, my bears are 3/3s, and by the way, I don't have to tap them to attack. So good luck ever swinging at me, because my army can block your army, and also I'll swing at you too. Yeah, block, go ahead, whatever. But if you do, you better know that I'm going to flash in a Dictate of Heliod. Flash it in. Creatures you control +2/+2. Now all of a sudden your bears are, well, in that scenario it'd be 5/5s, but most of the time 4/4s. Regardless, it's very easy to make your army much more powerful than your opponents because, again, they did not build around having 2/2s. But you did, unless they're also playing the exact same commander, which, yeah. Commander's Insignia. Also, your commander is a 2-mana creature, which is amazing because if it gets dealt with, you're like, I play it for 4? Cool, I play for 6. I'm in a green deck. I got so much mana. Whatever. Creatures you control get +1 for each time you've cast your command zone for the command zone this game. Commander for the command zone, if I could talk. A massive pump effect for your team. The longer the game goes, the more time your commander gets taken out, and all of a sudden your army is absolutely massive. Collect a blessing. Yet another great anthem. +3/+3. Just with this in play plus your commander equals, my army is huge. Your armies are tiny. Good luck ever stopping me. Secure the waste. Yeah, you got plenty of ways to make a ton of creatures. You got a lot of mana. X mana into it right before your turn. Make a bunch of 1/1s that are actually 2/2s. Failed to retreat. Land enters the battlefield. Again, you're in green. You got a lot of ways to get lands into play. Land enters the battlefield, make a 2/2 cat, or hey, get counters on your creatures and also give them vigilance on turn. Again, yet another way on top of Anthems to build your power bigger than your bones creatures, getting counters on them. Maya, Bredegar Protector does both things. Anthem for your creatures, +1 to them. On top of that, whenever a land is battlefield under your control, you get a 1/1, which is actually a 2/2, and it's a human, warrior, bear as well. Rabble Rousing, Hideaway 5, so some extra value there. On top of that, though, whenever you attack with one or more creatures, you make that many 1/1s, which are also now 2/2 bears. Bears citizens. Yay, good for them. And then also Elspeth Sun's Champion. Hey, each time you +1, you make 3 2/2s. Lovely. 6 power across 3 bodies. You can also destroy big creatures, but you probably don't want to do that. But what you do want to do, though, is get to that -7. You get an emblem with creature control at +2/+2 and have flying. Good luck stopping my flying bears. So yeah, Kudo, king among bears. This is true to the name of bear. It is a 2/2. That costs 2. That is a bear. That makes everything into a bear. A 2/2. Yes. I mean, it has to make them cost 2. That's maybe the next iteration of a bear commander next year. But for now, Kudo, king among bears. You're king in my heart. 5th place. Next up, the Necro Bloom. A very interesting and weird and awesome commander. It is a 2/7 plant for 4 mana in Abzan landfall. Whenever land enters battlefield, you get a 0/1 plant. But if you've got 7 lands with 7 different names, you get a 2/2 zombie instead. There's a lot of ways to take advantage of that. Land cards in your graveyard also have dredge too. Wait, what was that? Lands in your graveyard have dredge too. Every single one of your lands is a Dakmor salvage, which gives you so much awesome things to do. And if you want to make a disgusting Get Rog deck, yeah, do that. Get the Get Rog in play. Any land in your graveyard, any discard outlet, and go infinite fun times. Yay! So yeah, you can do some crazy things with that. Regardless, other crazy cool things you can do is play a snow-covered forest, which these actually didn't used to be budget friendly. Now they are thanks to Kaldheim, and different named land. Also a basic, so you can tutor it pretty easily. So yes, if you get 3 basic lands, which are your normal ones, and then 3 of those snow versions, you're at 6. You're almost there. You just need a couple other lands in your deck. They're like, oh, cool. Yeah, awesome. I got that. Maybe like an Evolving Wilds. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Evolving Wilds, again, taking advantage of landfall triggers can be great too. So any of those kind of fetch lands, and yes, there are plenty of budget-friendly ones as well. Utilize those. Use landfall triggers, get more plants or zombies into play. Harrow, you've got so much land ramp, right? And hey, you got land ramp that can really take advantage of landfall triggers like this one. You're only going up one land, but you're fixing your mana better. You sacrifice one land, you get 2 into play, and you get 2 landfall triggers because of that. Crawling Sensation. Take advantage of that dredge. Game for upkeep, you mill 2 cards. Milling is good for you. Whenever one of our land cards put your grave from anywhere for the first time each turn, you make a 1/1 insect. So you also get even more creature tokens that you can take advantage of. Tireless Tracker. Again, landfall. Take advantage of it. Lands coming into play. Make clues. When you sacrifice clues, you get counters on the Tireless Tracker. And whenever you sacrifice those clues again, you're drawing cards. And you can actually dredge instead of that draw as well. Turn-Timber Sower. Again, make creature tokens whenever those lands hit the graveyard. 0/1 plants. So if you got some plant tribal effects, you can utilize those too. You can also sacrifice creatures though and bring lands back from your graveyard to your hand as well if you need to do so. Rampaging Balos, landfall, make a 4/4. Plenty of landfall triggers you can use and abuse. You can do a lot of exciting things. You can do some zombie tribal effects, some plant tribal, whatever you want to do with this. There's a lot of ways you can take this one. The Necro Bloom is pretty crazy, and get Rog decks around it can be really crazy too. A 2/7 plant. I absolutely think that you are probably the most interesting plant in Magic, but maybe I'm forgetting another one. So yeah, congratulations to Necro Bloom on your 4th place finish. Next up, Corum the Undertaker. Corum, you need to thank Mr. Orfeo right now, because Mr. Orfeo has made me a huge fan of your style of deck that I would build. So go thank Mr. Orfeo, one of your fellow Jund, fans as well. And there you go. A 0/5 Human Warrior for 4 mana in Jund. Gets +X/+0 XD, greatest power among creature cards in all graveyards, not just your own. So player over there that's playing something massive, like, hey, I mean, I'm a budget player, okay? Lord of Extinction is not budget friendly. But if that's in someone else's graveyard, thank you so much, because this is going to be huge. That being said, yeah, there's plenty of huge creatures that you can utilize, and I will. On top of that, when this attacks, everyone mills a card. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a spell from among cards in graveyards that are put there from libraries this turn. You just mill people every now and then. You're like, oh, cool. I get things. I get to play lands, cast spells. Yay! Lots of extra value for you. That being said, I'm building around that first part mostly. Beast of Burden. Hey, Star. Power toss each equal to the number of creatures in play. And yes, that counts in your graveyard as well. So, depending on how many creatures are in play, and let's say you have an opponent that's like making all those tokens like we talked about with previous decks, thank you. Every single time you get a creature in play, my commander gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Your commander can become a one-shot KO in absolutely no time. Nearly a one-shot KO with Yargle Multani just as is. In 18/6 for 6 mana. You get this in your graveyard in a variety of ways. We'll talk about one of those here in a little bit. But yeah, you could just get into play and be like, I got a big creature, I'll swing at you. And they're like, oh gosh. I guess I take it out. I guess I team block it. Oh no. But then the commander is huge too. Or Titanoth Rex, one that you can actually get in the graveyard yourself. An 11/11 trampling Dinosaur Beast for 9 mana, but you can cycle away for just 2 mana. And when you do, you get a trample counter on target creature control, which is perfect for your commander because your commander is like, oh, cool, I can trample over things now. And also, by the way, my power is 11 because this is in the graveyard, and I drew a card. What's not to love about that? Final parting, speaking of what's not to love, tutor for 2 cards. One goes into your hand, one goes in your graveyard, so get a card that you need, and also get the biggest creature in your deck and put it in your graveyard, and they'll send your commanders like, oh, I am absolutely massive. Probably a one-shot KO. Speaking of which, Unleash Fury. If it wasn't a one-shot KO, then it is now. Double the power of target creature until end of turn. Yeah, when it comes to combat, you just need 21, damage. That's very easy to get to with a commander like this. I should say 21 worth of commander damage. You know what I mean. But also with this, yeah, double it. Maybe double again. Mr. Orfeo the Boulder. I love you. Whenever you attack, double target creature's power until end of turn. It's become one of my favorite decks of all time that I've ever played. I love Mr. Orfeo. But yeah, basically attack, double the commander's power. Maybe double again with something else. And then Essence Harvest someone to nothing. They can be at 40 and it does not matter. It doesn't matter because my commander's got so much power. Not only can I take you out in combat, I can take you out with even going to combat. I don't have to take you out in that way. I can take you in any way I want. And I will. Target player loses X life and you gain X life or X greatest power among creatures you control. I just gained 40 life and you lost 40 life. You are gone. You can also use Soul's Fire. Does the same thing but without the life gain and with damage instead into any target. So if you really want to overkill something, you can be like, that 1/1's bugging me. Take 40. No, you're going to do this to someone's face. You can also fling your commander as well. There's ways to get it back, like Feign Death. Return of the Wild Speaker. Hey, draw cards equal your power among non-human creatures you control. You got a lot of creatures with power in this deck. Take advantage of those. Traverse the Outlands, which allow for the X-based land cards with X Grace power when creatures you control. For those cards, battlefield tap, then shuffle. That's going to be an absurd amount. Being able to say, oh, what's the biggest in my graveyard? 18. Okay. My commander's got 18 power. For 5 mana, I will go get 18 basic lands. Put them all into play. Good luck stopping me when I've got all the mana in the world. Yeah, Corm the Undertaker, I love these power matter type synergies. I love these kinds of decks. And if you want to fling it at someone. Have a fun time. And also, thank your opponents when they've got something massive in their graveyard and say, oh, thank you so much for having that there. I really appreciate that. Thanks again. And thank you, Corum. You are 3rd place. Moving on to number 2, 6. Is that confusing at all? No. Okay. Yeah, it would have been funnier if it was like at 6 is 6, but it ended up at 2. I really like the design of this one. It is a 2/4 Tree Folk with reach for 3 mana and green. Whenever it attacks, mill 3 cards. You may put a land card from among them in your hand. As long as it's your turn, non-land permanent cards in your graveyard have retrace. Hey, yeah, so attack with this. Cool. Get some additional card advantage. And by the way, every single one of your non-land permanents in your graveyard, you can play again and again and again because you just have to discard a single land to do so. Your graveyard is an extension of your hand. Have all the permanents in the world and utilize them properly with this. Yes, quite fun. Perpetual Timepiece. Of course, we're going to have ways to mill ourselves, repeatable ways to do so. Mill 2 cards. It's kind of like draw 2 cards in a way. Like, I mean, okay, for non-land, but still. You play a bunch of permanents in your deck, you're going to be getting cards off of this into your graveyard, and you're just like, I'd like that card. Let me discard a land and play that card instead. So it's kind of like a cheaty way to draw cards in a weird way. World Shaper. Let's take advantage of the lands at our graveyard, too. When this attacks, you may mill 3 cards. You might be saying, well, you got to send this into danger, kind of like the commander, to actually get the benefit, right? Yes, but also, it's a 3/3, and when it dies, you return all land cards to your graveyard with the battlefield tapped. Hey, have fun blocking this. You gonna block this? You gonna take it out? Oh, you're not? Okay, well, that's fine. I'm just gonna keep milling myself, keep hitting you. And all of a sudden, oh, when it does get taken out, I get all my lands out of my graveyard into play, ramping a ton. And with Keening Stone, that can be just quite disgusting. Keening Stone, pay 5, tap target player, mills X cards, X number of cards in a player's graveyard. Double up your graveyard size every single time. Fill it so much that you basically have access to nearly your entire library thanks to your commander. And you can do some pretty crazy things with that. Prowler's Helm, let's just discuss, hey, your commander, not that big, right? So maybe get your commander through if you want to. Creature can be blocked up by walls. That's nice to be able to get your commander through. I should say that technically this isn't just unblockability. Technically your opponents could have walls, but unless you're playing against like an Arcades, a Strategist deck, or like a Changeling deck, you probably are getting through on at least one opponent with this. In fact, 99% of the time you're getting through on all of your opponents with this. So there you go. Moving on. Spore Frog. How about permanents that maybe annoy players that, I like fogs personally. Spore Frog, a 1/1 frog that costs a single green mana. Sacrifice it for all combination to be dealt this turn. Yeah. You get to keep just actually getting this back again and again and again and again. And all of a sudden you're like, hey, I can just prevent 1 combat each turn if I want to. So good luck ever getting through on me. Colony Heart Expedition. Landfall, landers battlefield control. You may put a quest counter on it, move 3 quest counters from it, sacrifice it, go get 2 basics into play tapped. You can ramp 2 lands every single time you get 3 in play just by discarding a land and replaying this each time just for 2 mana. Oh my goodness, the amount that you can get ahead of your opponents is huge. Seal Primordium. Hey opponents, do you really want to play your artifacts and enchantments? Because I'm going to play this, keep in play. Go ahead and put something big in play. Go ahead, do that. Yeah, sure, okay. Sacrifice, destroy artifact or enchantment. Nice, it's gone. I don't like that either over there. Okay, I'll discard a land, get it back out into play. Let's destroy that too. Repeatable removal is huge. Evolutionary Leap. You can also use and abuse LTBs and also ETBs of creatures by sacrificing them with something like this. Pay a green, sacrifice a creature, real cards, top your library to a creature card. That card in your hand, the rest of them bomb your library in random order. Get things in your hand, which is lovely, but also get creatures back in your graveyard. That might have some great ETBs, or maybe they have an LTB you want to take advantage of, so keep doing that for value. Speaking of value, Nylea's Intervention. You can deal twice X damage to creatures with flying if you really need to, like against like an Ur-Dragon deck. This is like a very surprising board wipe for them. They're like, oh, okay. Or you can go get X lands from your library into your hand, and that's not basics, just any land. which also is just fuel for you and your playing cards out of your graveyard. So lovely. You can also do that with Creeping Renaissance in a way. Again, with all that mill, you can take advantage of that. Choose a permanent type, bring back all cards of the chosen type from your grave to your hand. So if you want to do lands, something else, whatever it is, mostly lands probably. Flash it back again to do it again. 6th though. You did not finish 6th. You finished 2nd. Congratulations on that. Perhaps my new favorite tree folk. But now the moment that you've all been waiting for. At first place, the golden pig is Arna Kennerud. I probably said that wrong. My apologies. Sky Captain. Arna is a 4/4 human knight with flying and lifelink. Ward, discard a card for 5 mana in Esper. Whenever a modified creature control attacks, double the number of each kind of counter on it. Then for each non-token permanent attached to it, create a token that's a copy of that permanent attached to that creature. This is my number 1, not because it is basically Colonian Hydra in the command zone, but in Esper and... oh gosh, I mean, like, that's really powerful, and it's probably how most players are going to build it, and that's completely fine. I want to do janky things with auras, though. Let me do janky things with auras. Let me do crazy, weird things with auras. Auras that never see the light of day ever can be amazing with this commander. Because, again, you get an aura attached to one of your creatures, all of a sudden you attack, you create a token that's a copy of it, and you attach it to it, so you can get a lot of crazy things going on. Archon of Sun's Grace. Let's talk about Constellation. Pegasus creature tokens, you have lifelink. Or just creatures, I guess, in general. Whenever enchantment enters a battlefield under control, create a 2/2 white Pegasus creature token with flying. Make a bunch of Pegasuses. Pegasi? Is that? Anyways, make a bunch of them, and all of a sudden, yeah, you can attach things to them if you want, but just keep getting more and more auras into play. Get more and more aura tokens into play. They don't care that it's a token enchantment coming into play. You're just going to make a lot. Make an army out of them. Boon of the Spirit Realm. Enchantment for 5 mana. Whenever another enchantment enters battlefield under control, put a blessing counter on this. Creature control +1 for each blessing counter on it. The amount of counters that are going to be on this are absurd. You just need to get things going. You just need to get some auras out there. You just need to start swinging every single time you swing. Let's say you got like 5 enchantments in play attached to creatures, right? 5 of those auras. Cool. You swing, you get 5 more. All of a sudden, you get 5 more counters on this, and whatever other effects you have pumping your creatures, great. But now, all of a sudden, your creatures are absolutely massive in absolutely no time. Eat your heart out, Beastmaster Ascension. I think that's the name of that one. Anyways, Doom Wake Giant. Take out your opponent's creatures again and again and again. When another enchantment enters the battlefield under control, creature opponents control get -1/-1 until end of turn. If they don't deal with this once you're set up properly, there is no keeping any creatures in play. You just keep getting more and more enchantments into play, and all of a sudden, your opponent's like, I got a 6/6 I can play in my hand, but if I do, Mitch is gonna swing, make 6 enchantments, and it's gonna go away. Oh no. Well, at least I still have a hand, but you won't for long because of Thought Reader Lamia. 5/3 Lamia, because that's the thing. Whenever another enchantment enters battlefield under control, each opponent discards a card. It's a bit mean, but it's a finisher, I guess, because all of a sudden you're, again, swinging, doubling up your auras that are attached to creatures, and all of a sudden, yeah, your opponents don't have any hands. And good luck top decking to try to stop all this. So, yeah. You can also utilize cards like Sisei's Ingenuity, a card that sees, like, no play anywhere because it's terrible. Enchant creature aura for a single blue mana. When enters the battlefield, draw a card. It also says enchant creature has pay 2 to a blue, target creature becomes a color of your choice until end of turn. That is highly irrelevant, except for very weird scenarios, I guess, if, like, protection from a color. Cool. Sure. But it's highly irrelevant. The thing that matters is this is a 1 mana aura that draws you a card. That's all you need. Because all of a sudden you put this on one of your creatures, and that creature equals, okay, first of all, you just drew a card. Good for you. But also, whenever I attack, you draw a card. And also, I get all those other triggers from all the enchantments entering the battlefield and such. Chains of Custody. One that can build as well. Enchant creature control. Enters the battlefield. Exile target non-land permanent opponent controls until this leaves the battlefield. Enchant creatures ward 2. You just keep exiling more and more and more things, and the more token copies of this you get on that creature, the harder it is to deal with because those wards stack. So all of a sudden, you got to pay 4 to deal with the creature, then 6 to deal with the creature, then 8 to deal with the creature. Good luck stopping this once it gets going. And also, yeah, you can just take your opponents out with all that glitters. Cards like this. Enchant creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Pump your creature to oblivion. Again, you attack, you had 5 auras, whatever it was, you double it to 10. All of a sudden, you got another one of these. Your commander is going to be a one-shot KO in absolutely no time with this attached. And by the way, your commander is flying and lifelink, so gain a ton of life, fly through, take someone out. There's a lot of crazy things you do in this one. Again, you can go, and I'm not saying you shouldn't go, with like ++1 counters, or other types of counters, or equipment as well, which I didn't even discuss. But the way I'm going to go is crazy auras that see no play and do some really fun time things. So have fun with that. So again, congratulations, Arna. You are the golden pig, in my opinion. But now as this episode is coming to a close, let me know what your thoughts are on it in the comments below. What are your picks for the golden pig of the set and the precons? Again, I should have mentioned that earlier. It combined both. I think I mentioned that. Regardless, 32 commanders, many of them amazing, some that I don't like as much, but these I love. Congratulations again, Arna. And again, comment below with your thoughts. And if you're interested in any of these cards on this episode, make sure you check out that card list link in the description below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.